Sacrifice. Most people fear the word. They hear it and think of loss, of suffering, of giving up what they love. But I will tell you the truth. I discovered early in life, sacrifice is not about losing, it is about gaining what cannot be seen at first glance. Every fortune, every empire, every legacy rests upon sacrifices that others were too weak to make. People look at me and see wealth, influence, control. They think it was given to me or that luck played its hand. But luck is nothing compared to discipline, and discipline is born in sacrifice. Every young man is tempted by the same distractions, comfort, pleasure, the easy path. They trade tomorrow's greatness for today's enjoyment, and in doing so they sell their birthright for crumbs. I refused that trade. I starved myself of comfort when I could have indulged, because I saw something greater beyond it. I cut away friendships that would have kept me small. I denied myself luxuries I could not afford, and I poured every drop of energy into the vision I carried, and though it cost me in the moment, it paid back in ways beyond imagination. Understand this. Sacrifice is the seed from which hidden opportunities grow. Most men look only at the surface. They see what they must give up and turn away before they notice what is waiting beyond it. But I learned to look deeper. Each hour I gave to labor, each coin I saved instead of spent, each temptation I resisted, these were not losses, they were investments. And every investment, if cultivated with patience, yields its return. Think of it as a law of nature. Nothing worthwhile comes without exchange. The earth itself demands it. You do not reap without planting. You do not rise without first kneeling. You do not command without first serving. Sacrifice is the toll the universe demands before it grants entry to higher places, and the men who shrink from that toll remain forever at the gates, watching others pass them by. When I was young, I made myself a promise. I would not be ruled by fleeting pleasures, nor seduced by shallow rewards. I knew that if I surrendered to them, I would be like every other man, chained to mediocrity, trapped in cycles of want. Instead, I chose to bear the pain of sacrifice, to rise before dawn when others slept, to study numbers when others feasted, to save when others spent. Each sacrifice was a blade cutting away weakness, shaping me into something stronger, sharper, more capable. The world is noisy, full of men telling you to enjoy yourself, to live for the moment. They laugh at those who practice restraint, but in time the laughter fades, because pleasure is fleeting, and sacrifice endures. The fruits of indulgence rot quickly, but the fruits of sacrifice feed generations. Do you want to know why so many never achieve greatness? Because they never endure the discomfort of giving up what is easy for what is necessary. They reach for comfort today and are left empty tomorrow. But here is the hidden truth. Sacrifice does not diminish you, it multiplies you. Each time you surrender something lesser, you open the door for something greater. Each time you choose patience over impulse, you create space for opportunity to appear. I discovered that life itself begins to bend to the man who is willing to sacrifice. Doors that remain shut to the restless and indulgent swing open for the disciplined and the patient, and those doors lead to treasures invisible to the untrained eye. You may think sacrifice means suffering endlessly, but that is not so. Sacrifice is purposeful. It is not about depriving yourself for no reason. It is about sharpening your focus on what matters most. When I saved my first dollars, I was not hoarding. I was planting. When I denied myself small luxuries, I was not punishing myself. I was building the foundation of my freedom. Each act of sacrifice was a message to myself. You are destined for something greater than this moment. And so I will tell you plainly, if you wish to unlock the opportunities hidden from the common man, you must be willing to endure what the common man refuses. You must be willing to set aside ease, to silence distractions, to part ways with comfort, because only then will you see what others cannot. Sacrifice is the price of vision, and those who pay it are the ones who claim the rewards. Do not be fooled by appearances. Men who indulge seem happy today, but tomorrow they are hollow. Men who sacrifice seem burdened today, but tomorrow they command. And when you begin to master this truth, when you learn to see sacrifice not as a thief but as a teacher, you will understand why I stand here not as a man who lost, but as a man who gained everything. Sacrifice is discipline in its purest form. Anyone can dream, anyone can wish for greatness, but only those who are willing to give something up each day ever see it realized. I learned early that delayed gratification is not a burden but a strategy. The boy who saves a single dollar when he could have spent it on sweets becomes the man who commands an empire of millions. The boy who trades an evening of leisure for an evening of study becomes the man who sees opportunities others are blind to. Discipline is built one sacrifice at a time, and once it takes root, it shapes the entire course of your life. Most people think of sacrifice as a single dramatic act, some grand gesture. They imagine giving up everything in one moment and being rewarded in the next. That is fantasy. True sacrifice is quiet, consistent, and often invisible to the world. It is the choice to rise early when no one watches. It is the decision to save when your friends spend. It is the refusal to follow the crowd into empty amusement. Sacrifice rarely feels heroic in the moment. It feels small, almost insignificant, but it is those small denials stacked day upon day that build an indestructible foundation. I will not lie to you, it is not easy. Every instinct within you will cry out for comfort. Every voice around you will tell you that you are missing out. They will mock your restraint. They will tempt you with distractions. But I promise you this, their laughter will not last. What seems like deprivation today becomes strength tomorrow, and what seems like enjoyment today becomes regret tomorrow. I chose to endure the sting of sacrifice in my youth, so I would not bear the chains of regret in my age. There is a secret the world hides from you because most have never discovered it themselves. Sacrifice compounds. Just like money saved earns interest, sacrifice builds upon itself until it creates something extraordinary. The man who sacrifices an hour of sleep gains clarity for his work. The man who sacrifices a small indulgence gains the capital to invest. The man who sacrifices idle talk gains the focus to plan. And as these sacrifices pile up, they multiply each other, creating momentum that lifts him higher than his peers. While others remain bound to the same routines, he begins to ascend. But here is what makes sacrifice truly powerful. It reveals opportunities invisible to the undisciplined. A man enslaved by his appetites cannot see clearly. His vision is clouded by the need for immediate satisfaction. But a man who has trained himself to wait, to endure, begins to see patterns others overlook. He notices the opening in the market, the chance to partner, the value in patience. Sacrifice sharpens perception, because when you are not consumed with taking what is easy, you begin to notice what is rare. I recall when I was young and earning only modest wages, my peers spent their pay on fleeting pleasures. Convinced they were living well, I denied myself those pleasures, and saved instead. At the time it looked as if they were ahead of me. They had new clothes, fine meals, laughter in taverns. I had worn shoes, plain meals, long nights of work. But when opportunity came, a chance to invest, a chance to step forward, I was the only one prepared. My sacrifice had cleared the path while their indulgence had chained them in place. That single moment revealed the difference between us, and it set the course for everything that followed. You see, sacrifice is not only about what you give up, it is about what you prepare yourself to receive. Most people demand reward without cost. They wish to be promoted without labor, respected without discipline, wealthy without restraint. Life does not work that way. Life hides its treasures behind trials, behind denials, behind the willingness to give up what is immediate for what is enduring, and because so few are willing to pay that price, the rewards remain hidden, waiting for the rare man who is. There will be times when sacrifice feels like loneliness. When you are walking a path that others cannot understand, you will wonder if it is worth it. But I tell you, it is in those moments that your character is being forged. A man who cannot stand alone in sacrifice will never stand above in victory. You must learn to endure isolation, to walk past temptations without explanation, to let others misunderstand you. They will call you rigid, cold, obsessed. Let them. In time their words will fade, but your results will speak with a voice far louder than theirs. Remember this, the crowd always moves toward comfort. If you wish to lead, you cannot move with them. Sacrifice sets you apart. It creates distance between you and mediocrity, and though that distance feels heavy in the beginning, it becomes your advantage in the end. Because while the masses are still searching for shortcuts, still trapped in cycles of waste, you will already be standing at the gate of opportunity, ready to claim what they never saw. Sacrifice is the proof of seriousness. A man who says he wants greatness but refuses sacrifice is lying to himself. His words are empty. But the man who demonstrates sacrifice day after day, even in small things, cannot be denied. For life respects the disciplined. It opens doors for those who have paid their dues in silence. It rewards the ones who endured hunger, who resisted distraction, who built patiently when no one was watching. So I tell you again, sacrifice is not a curse. It is the discipline that shapes destiny. It is the silent act that makes a man powerful. It is the unseen cost that buys the opportunities others will never touch. And though you may not see the reward today, know this: every act of sacrifice is building something for you that indulgence could never give. And one day, when the world looks at you in disbelief, when they wonder how you gained what they could not, you will know the answer. You paid the price they refused to pay. You endured the weight they could not bear, and for that reason alone, the opportunities hidden from them were revealed to you. Sacrifice is not only about money or time, it is first and foremost about yourself. Before you can command the external world, you must learn to master the internal one. The greatest enemy you will ever face is not competition, not markets, not circumstance. It is your own weakness, desires, impulses, emotions, cravings. These are the forces that enslave men more completely than any chain, and the only way to break free of them is through sacrifice. You must be willing to surrender your comfort, your appetites, even your pride, in order to gain mastery over yourself. Without that, no empire will stand. Most men believe they are free, yet they are prisoners. They rise when their appetites command. They spend when their urges demand. They fall into anger, jealousy, and fear at the smallest provocation. Such men cannot build anything lasting because they do not control themselves. They are slaves dressed as free men. But when you learn to sacrifice the pull of appetite, when you deny the easy path your impulses crave, you begin to seize true power, the power to direct yourself where you choose, not where weakness drags you. Understand this clearly: self-mastery is not gifted, it is forged. Each time you resist a temptation, each time you hold your tongue when anger burns, each time you endure discomfort rather than flee from it, you are strengthening the iron of your will. These small sacrifices of impulse harden into discipline, and discipline is the foundation of all success. Without it, you will be forever tossed about by circumstance. With it, you will remain steady, even in the fiercest storm. Think of a man who seeks to build wealth. If he cannot master his own hunger for indulgence, his wealth will vanish as quickly as it comes. If he cannot master his pride, he will make reckless choices to prove himself right. If he cannot master his fear, he will retreat at the first sign of difficulty. His downfall begins not in the market, but in his own heart. But a man who sacrifices impulse for reason, who subdues passion with discipline, builds on stone, not sand. His foundation is unshakable because it is himself. I recall moments in my youth when anger rose in me like a fire. Someone slighted me, someone questioned me, someone mocked me. The instinct was to lash back, to prove myself, to win the quarrel, but I forced myself into silence, into patience. That was sacrifice, surrendering the temporary satisfaction of reaction for the enduring strength of restraint. And with time I saw how this mastery created advantages. While others revealed their weakness in outbursts, I remained composed. While others wasted energy on petty battles, I conserved mine for greater wars. The man who controls himself always gains the upper hand over those who do not. You will not conquer the world until you conquer your desire. This is the truth no one wishes to hear. People prefer the illusion that they can indulge and still rise, that they can serve their impulses and still command respect. But the universe does not bend to the undisciplined. Opportunities do not appear to those ruled by passion. They appear to the man who has proven he can govern himself. For if you cannot master your own emotions, how will you ever master anything beyond yourself? Sacrifice is the training ground of mastery. When you deny yourself ease, you train your mind to endure. When you hold back indulgence, you train your will to rule. When you sacrifice pride and accept correction, you train yourself in wisdom. Every sacrifice is a lesson, every denial a strengthening of the inner fortress. And when that fortress is built, when you no longer crumble at insult, no longer bend under temptation, no longer chase after fleeting pleasures, you become something rare, a man who is immovable. This is why so few rise high. It is not that they lack opportunity, but that they lack control. They cannot resist the call of pleasure long enough to see opportunity clearly. They cannot endure discomfort long enough to reap the harvest. They sabotage themselves at every turn, and then they blame fate. Fate is not their enemy. It is their own weakness, and weakness is overcome only by sacrifice. The world will test you. It will whisper promises of comfort. It will tempt you with quick rewards. It will provoke you with insults. It will push you toward fear. And in each of these moments, your choice will decide your destiny. Do you sacrifice the impulse, or do you surrender to it? If you surrender, you remain as you are. If you sacrifice, you grow stronger. Each decision adds up, shaping you into either a master of yourself or a slave to yourself. Even success itself demands sacrifice. For when you begin to achieve, pride will tempt you to relax, to boast, to believe you no longer need restraint. That is when downfall begins. You must sacrifice arrogance as well, keeping yourself a student, even when you are a teacher. You must sacrifice comfort, even when wealth could surround you with it. You must sacrifice the illusion of arrival, because the moment you stop mastering yourself is the moment you begin to decay. True freedom is not doing what you want. It is doing what is necessary. True power is not commanding others. It is commanding yourself, and the doorway to both is sacrifice. Learn to say no to yourself, and you will be capable of saying yes to opportunities others cannot see. Learn to delay gratification, and you will enjoy rewards beyond imagination. Learn to surrender your impulses, and you will gain a mind that is clear, steady, unshaken. So ask yourself, who rules you? Is it your appetites, your pride, your fear, or is it your will, sharpened by sacrifice? Every man must answer this question, and the answer will determine the life he builds. I chose long ago that nothing within me would have greater command than my own discipline. I sacrificed pleasure to build strength. I sacrificed impulse to build clarity, and through that mastery, opportunities appeared to me as if from the shadows, unseen by the men around me. That is the reward of self-sacrifice, not just power over the world, but first and foremost power over yourself. Sacrifice extends beyond the self. It stretches into the realm of how you relate to others, and how much of yourself you are willing to give away in the pursuit of their approval. Most men live as prisoners of opinion. They crave praise, they chase recognition, they bend their actions to fit the expectations of the crowd. They sacrifice their vision for the comfort of belonging. But I chose a different sacrifice. I surrendered the need to be liked. I gave up the shallow approval of the many in order to secure the lasting respect of the few. And in doing so, I discovered opportunities that those chained to the opinions of others could never reach. Understand this. The pursuit of approval is the surest path to mediocrity. When you let the voices of others guide your choices, you build a life not of your own design, but of theirs. You become their servant, not your own master. To sacrifice the need for validation is to reclaim your independence. It is to stand alone, unshaken by praise or criticism, and in that independence lies hidden power. Because when you no longer hunger for applause, you are free to act with clarity, and clarity is the compass to opportunity. I remember countless moments when I was doubted, when my decisions were questioned, when whispers followed me. Many said I was too ruthless in my discipline, too narrow in my focus, too unwilling to indulge in the social games of my peers. But while they busied themselves with banquets, with gossip, with empty alliances, I kept to my path. I sacrificed their acceptance, and in time I found that what they had gained was fleeting, but what I had built was permanent. Their laughter faded, but my foundation endured. There is a law of power few understand. When you show you are unmoved by judgment, you become respected by the very people who once mocked you. Why? Because they cannot influence you, they cannot bend you with their opinions, and men admire most what they cannot control. By sacrificing the need to be liked, you gain the much greater prize of being respected. Respect endures, approval evaporates, but this sacrifice is not easy. Every human heart longs for belonging. To resist that pull requires strength. It means walking away when others call you selfish. It means holding fast when they say you are cold. It means watching them gather together while you stand apart. Yet it is in that separation that opportunity emerges. The man who is free from approval is also free from manipulation. He cannot be bought with praise, nor broken with criticism. His decisions are his own, and because of that he sees what others cannot. Think of the men who shaped history. Were they embraced in their time? Rarely. They were doubted, resisted, ridiculed. Their sacrifices were not only of comfort, but of approval. They bore the sting of misunderstanding in order to pursue a vision no one else could see. And though the world laughed at them then, the same world now bows to their memory. That is the paradox. To be accepted now often means to be forgotten later. To be rejected now often means to be remembered forever. You must ask yourself, whose approval do you seek? Is it the crowd, whose opinions change with the wind? Is it your peers, whose judgments are often rooted in envy or ignorance? Or is it yourself, whose vision, if clear and disciplined, is the only compass worth trusting? Sacrifice the first two, and you gain the and when you have that, you walk a straighter, surer path than those who live by the shifting tides of others. I will tell you something most never realize. Approval is a currency more dangerous than money. If you live on it, you are poor, no matter how much wealth you hold, because it can be withdrawn at any moment. It is unstable, unpredictable, uncontrollable. To sacrifice the need for it is to build your fortune on firmer ground. When applause no longer dictates your worth, you are free, and freedom is the soil where hidden opportunities grow. There were times when I was invited to pleasures, to distractions, to gatherings where men sought to affirm one another. I declined, not because I despised them, but because I understood that time spent chasing their validation was time stolen from my purpose. I sacrificed their fellowship, and they thought me distant. Yet while they sought one another's smiles, I sought results, and results, unlike approval, cannot be taken away once earned. So learn this. Let go of the need to be understood. Let go of the hunger for recognition. Sacrifice the shallow comfort of being liked. It is painful in the moment, but liberating in the end, because when you no longer serve the crowd, you are free to serve your vision, and the world respects a man of vision, even if it mocks him. The man who seeks to be liked will always compromise. He will bend his principles, soften his edge, dilute his strength. He will never go further than the crowd allows. But the man who sacrifices approval for purpose becomes unshakable. He is not distracted by criticism, nor inflated by praise. He walks his own path, and because of that he often discovers what the rest miss. Opportunities do not reveal themselves to those who fear being judged. They reveal themselves to those who are willing to be judged, and keep walking anyway. This is the sacrifice you must make, to give up your hunger for validation. It may leave you isolated. It may sting your pride. It may cause others to misunderstand you, but in that silence, in that space you carve out for yourself, lies clarity, and clarity leads to strength. Strength leads to opportunity, and opportunity once seized, leads to a life of freedom, the very life those who mocked you will one day envy. Comfort is the most seductive enemy a man will ever face. It lulls him into passivity, whispers that he has earned his rest, convinces him that struggle is unnecessary. But I tell you plainly, the moment you choose comfort as your companion, you close the door to greatness. Every advancement I ever made, every hidden opportunity that revealed itself to me, came not through ease but through struggle. I sacrificed comfort deliberately because I knew that ease breeds weakness, and weakness blinds a man to the treasures scattered just beyond his reach. When I was young, I denied myself what others chased. I walked instead of rode. I saved instead of spent. I worked instead of idled. These were small sacrifices, but they built a habit, the habit of rejecting ease, and that habit became a fortress around me. While others wasted their strength avoiding discomfort, I grew strong by embracing it. While others sought the softest path, I hardened myself on the roughest one, and in doing so, I saw opportunities they could never see, because struggle sharpens vision while comfort dulls it. The truth is, struggle is the teacher of greatness. It exposes your weakness, it demands your growth, it forces you to develop what you did not know you lacked. Comfort, on the other hand, hides your weakness. It allows it to grow unchecked, leaving you unprepared when life inevitably tests you. That is why I sacrificed comfort, not because I loved pain, but because I loved strength. I understood that if I chose the harder road daily, I would be prepared for the battles others could not endure. Most men run from pressure. They see it as a burden, something to be avoided at all costs. I sought it. I understood that pressure is the crucible in which ability is forged, to carry responsibility heavier than you think you can bear, to endure hours longer than you think you can work, to remain calm in storms that terrify others. These are the conditions under which hidden doors open. For life does not reward the man who hides from pressure. It rewards the one who proves he can carry it. There were countless nights when my body demanded rest, when my mind begged for escape, but I sacrificed the desire for ease and pressed forward. I chose labor when I could have chosen leisure. I chose discipline when I could have chosen distraction. And though it drained me in the moment, it equipped me for the future. When opportunities arose, I had the endurance to seize them. When others faltered, I stood steady. That is the hidden reward of struggle. It prepares you for the moment when fortune knocks. Comfort never will. Understand that every comfort has a cost. The meal that satisfies today may rob you of resources tomorrow. The idle hour that pleases now may steal the progress of a year. The soft bed that tempts you at dawn may rob you of the chance to build something lasting. Comfort demands payment just as sacrifice does. The difference is this: comfort costs you the future, sacrifice costs you the present. One drains you silently, the other strengthens you invisibly. I chose the cost that gave me tomorrow. Sacrificing comfort also teaches detachment from fear, for when you have willingly embraced hardship, what is there left to fear? If you have trained yourself to rise in cold mornings, to labor in exhaustion, to endure without complaint, then life's trials cannot break you. You already live with difficulty by choice. This is why the man who sacrifices comfort holds an advantage over the one who indulges in it. He is ready for storms before they arrive, while the indulgent is ruined by the first sign of rain. I will tell you something that most cannot grasp: comfort and greatness cannot live together. If you choose one, you banish the other. Those who try to balance both always fail, because comfort expands until it consumes them. The man who achieves anything extraordinary has first made peace with discomfort. He has chosen sweat over ease, silence over entertainment, endurance over escape, and in making that choice, he finds opportunities hidden to all who are blinded by indulgence. You may ask yourself why so few achieve remarkable things, and the answer lies here. They are not willing to pay the price of struggle. They wish to be strong without training, wealthy without sacrifice, respected without hardship, but life has never been so kind. It rewards the man who willingly carries the heavier load, who denies himself what is easy, in order to pursue what is lasting. It hides its best treasures behind walls of discomfort, so that only those willing to sacrifice comfort can reach them. Think of it like mining. The surface is crowded, full of men digging for scraps they can find without effort. But the real wealth lies deep, beneath layers of rock, where few are willing to labor. Those who sacrifice comfort descend into those depths. They endure darkness, heat, and pain, but in the end they emerge with riches the others will never see. Comfort keeps men at the surface, sacrifice takes them below. So you must decide: will you cling to ease, or will you surrender it? Will you spend your life chasing comfort, only to find it has left you weak and blind? Or will you sacrifice it daily, and in doing so build the strength to seize opportunities others cannot even recognize? Remember this: comfort is the path to nothing. Sacrifice is the path to everything. I chose to give up ease, so that when fortune revealed itself, I was strong enough to take hold of it. That choice made all the difference, and it will for you as well. Patience is the rarest sacrifice, because it asks a man to surrender what he wants now for what he cannot yet see. It is easy to demand results quickly, to crave immediate reward, to grasp at whatever lies closest, but nothing great has ever been built in haste. Every enduring success, every hidden opportunity worth seizing, reveals itself only to the man who can wait. I learned this not by choice but by necessity. There were times when opportunity seemed distant, when progress crawled, when others mocked my slow ascent. Yet I held my ground. I sacrificed the hunger for instant gratification, and in return I discovered what the impatient never find: the power of compounding, the treasures that only time can unlock. You see, most men ruin themselves by their inability to wait. They abandon the seed before it has sprouted. They tear down the foundation before the house is built. They sell what would have doubled tomorrow because they cannot resist cash today. Their impatience blinds. They think they are moving forward, but in truth they are trading greatness for scraps. I knew I must not follow them. I chose to sacrifice the thrill of the immediate for the security of the long term. Each day I denied myself quick pleasures. I was investing in a future the short-sighted could not imagine. Patience itself is a form of discipline. It is sacrifice stretched across time. To endure the silence of waiting without breaking, to work year after year without applause, to trust in the unseen while others demand proof. This is the true test of a man, and this test is one few parts. That is why opportunity remains hidden, because only the patient will stand long enough to see it revealed. The impatient walk away too soon, leaving treasures in the soil for the one who stayed. I recall watching men leap into ventures, hungry for quick profit. They grew excited at the first taste of gain, only to collapse when the tide turned. I did not chase with them. I let them call me slow, overly cautious, too deliberate, but my patience outlasted their enthusiasm. When they abandoned their fields half-tilled, I quietly took them over. When they gave up, I was just beginning, and in the end I reaped where they could not because I was smarter, but because I was willing to wait. The world is designed to test your endurance. It delays reward not to deny it, but to measure whether you are worthy of it. If opportunity were immediate, everyone would seize it, but life hides it behind time, so that only the man who sacrifices speed will find it. Impatience is the downfall of the masses. They want everything now: comfort, wealth, recognition. And so they settle for illusion. They consume rather than build. They take rather than invest. And when the future arrives, they stand empty-handed. Sacrifice teaches you to embrace the long horizon. It whispers to you that a single step today, repeated tomorrow, and the next becomes a march across continents. Most men despise this truth because it does not excite them. They prefer fireworks, bright, quick, and gone in a moment. But I preferred the steady flame, the one that endures, the one that cannot be extinguished. That flame is lit only by patience. To sacrifice the present for the future is to live in a kind of faith, not blind faith, but disciplined faith. Faith that your labor is not in vain, that your seed will yield a harvest, that your restraint will turn into reward. I did not waste my youth demanding to be paid in full for every effort. I worked long before the world noticed. I endured obscurity before recognition came. That sacrifice was my investment, and it paid dividends far beyond what quick applause could ever offer. Ask yourself, what is the worth of a fleeting pleasure compared to the weight of a lasting legacy? A meal, a trinket, a passing indulgence, all vanish in a moment. Yet the habit of sacrificing them for a higher aim compounds until it builds empires. Men who cannot wait will never know this truth. Their vision is too short, their hunger too shallow. They cannot endure the barren season, so they never reach the harvest. The discipline of patience also hardens you against despair. For when you have trained yourself to sacrifice the immediate, you do not panic when results delay. You expect delay, you prepare for it, you even welcome it as the sign that you are building something real. The impatient crumble in uncertainty, the patient grows stronger in it, and because of that the patient man discovers hidden paths others overlook. While the world chases noise, he sees the quiet openings. While others abandon the game, he remains and the victory falls to him. I must tell you plainly, the greatest opportunities I ever found were invisible to those who demanded quick gain. They required time, years of preparation, years of waiting, years of steady building. Had I demanded everything at once, I would have lost them, but by sacrificing the now, I gained the later, and the later was worth infinitely more. So learn this above all: to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term vision is to live on a higher plane than the rest. It is to refuse crumbs so you may claim the feast. It is to hold steady while the crowd rushes, knowing they will exhaust themselves while you endure. Patience is the rarest sacrifice, but it is the one that unlocks the greatest hidden opportunities. And though it will test you, though it will stretch you, though it will make you question whether the wait is worth it, trust me when I say it is. Because when the fruit finally ripens, when the door finally opens, when the harvest finally arrives, you will not remember the hunger of waiting, you will only remember the abundance it brought. Sacrifice is often thought of as giving up possessions or pleasures, but there is a greater sacrifice, one that most men never attempt, letting go of the need to control every outcome. The truth is, life will not always unfold according to your plan. Deals will collapse, allies will betray, circumstances will shift without warning. If you cling too tightly to what you think should happen, you will break. If you sacrifice that attachment, however, you free yourself to adapt, and in that freedom lies the discovery of opportunities that rigid minds never see. I learnt this lesson through failure as much as through success. There were times when I pressed with all my might for a result, and no matter my effort, it slipped away. At first I raged against it, thinking that if I only pushed harder, I could force life into submission. But the harder I clung, the more it cut me. Only when I released my demand, when I sacrificed the illusion of control, did clarity return, and in that clarity, I found a path forward better than the one I had imagined. Many times I lost what I thought I could not live without, only to discover that the loss cleared space for something greater to enter. Most men cannot endure uncertainty. They grip their plans as if nothing else could exist. When reality shifts, they collapse. Their identity is so tied to outcomes that disappointment destroys them. But the man who sacrifices attachment does not crumble. He understands that control is an illusion, and his strength lies not in demanding certainty but in mastering his response to uncertainty. This is how hidden opportunities reveal themselves when others are blinded by their insistence on a single path. He is free to see the many roads that open in its place. Imagine a river. If you try to hold the water in your hands, it slips away. If you build your home upon its surface, it will wash you downstream. But if you flow with it, directing yourself around the bends, you will be carried far. Life is no different. To sacrifice the need to control its every turn is not weakness, it is wisdom. It allows you to move with strength rather than against it, to turn what seems like failure into progress, what seems like loss into advantage. I recall a venture that fell apart in my early years. Every calculation told me it should succeed. I invested time, I invested effort, I invested myself. Yet circumstances shifted, and all I had built crumbled. I could have let that loss consume me. I could have clung to bitterness, replaying what should have been. Instead, I let it go. I sacrificed the outcome I had demanded, and I asked instead, what is here for me to learn? What new path is this opening? Within months, the lesson became clear. The failure forced me into an alliance I had not considered before, one that in time became far more profitable than the original plan ever could have been. That would not have happened if I had chained myself to disappointment. The sacrifice of control revealed the greater opportunity. This does not mean you should be passive. Discipline, preparation, and vision remain essential, but once you have acted with full effort, you must release the result. Do your duty, then let go. That is the sacrifice. For if you obsess over what you cannot change, you waste the strength you could have used to seize what still lies within your reach. Most men burn their energy lamenting what they lost, blind to what is waiting at their feet. The disciplined man sacrifices that lamentation. He accepts reality swiftly, and in doing so he moves ahead while others are still mourning. Think of how many lives are consumed by regret. Men replay their failures endlessly, gripping them as if the past could be remembered. Others cling to dreams that died long ago, refusing to adapt. They think this persistence is strength, but it is weakness. True strength is the ability to sacrifice what is already gone. Only by releasing it can you grasp what comes next. Hidden opportunities do not appear to men staring backward. They appear to those willing to let go and look forward. This sacrifice is also the path to peace. When you stop demanding that life obey you, you stop suffering when it does not. You become steady in storms, calm when others panic, decisive when others freeze. And because you are not shaken, people trust you, opportunities seek you, doors open to you, life bends in favor of the one who does not resist its turns. So I tell you, sacrifice your attachment to outcome. Work with diligence. Act with discipline. Pursue your vision with focus. But when events unfold differently, release your grip. Flow instead of break. Adapt instead of resist. This is not surrender. This is mastery. It is the discipline to accept reality and to turn it to your advantage. And it is the doorway to hidden opportunities. For only the man who lets go of what he cannot control can fully seize what he can. Every great victory I ever won began with a loss I chose to release. Every great opportunity I discovered came from an unexpected turn I accepted rather than forced. That is the paradox of sacrifice. When you let go of what you cannot hold, your hands are free to grasp what was waiting for you all along. The impatient will never know this truth. The rigid will never see it. But the man who sacrifices his need to control outcomes becomes unshakable, adaptable, unstoppable. And in a world full of uncertainty, that man will always rise above the rest. There is a sacrifice most men never consider, yet it holds more power than gold or steel. The sacrifice of words. Men are quick to speak, quick to defend themselves, quick to announce their plans, quick to seek validation through noise. But I learned early that silence is not emptiness. It is a weapon, it is a shield, it is a presence that unsettles the careless and empowers the disciplined. To master silence, you must sacrifice the impulse to prove yourself with words. You must resist the hunger to explain, to retaliate, to fill the space. And when you do, you will find that silence unlocks opportunities men talk themselves away from. Most cannot endure silence. It makes them uncomfortable, as if quiet exposes them. They rush to fill it with chatter, and in doing so, they reveal themselves, their thoughts, their fears, their weaknesses. I discovered that if I spoke less and listened more, people would expose everything without me asking. They revealed their intentions, their motives, their vulnerabilities, all because they could not endure the weight of their own words. And all the while I remained still, gaining knowledge while revealing nothing. That is the hidden power of sacrificing speech. You learn without being learned. There were negotiations where silence won more than any argument could. I would present an offer, then say nothing. The other side, unsettled by my restraint, would begin to bargain with themselves, lowering their demands, sweetening their terms, filling the silence with concession. Had I spoken to press my point, I would have lost that advantage, but silence made them question themselves. Silence made them hand me what I wanted freely. That is the kind of opportunity revealed only to the man who can resist the need to speak. This is not only about business. Silence transforms how people perceive you. A man who speaks constantly is easy to read, easy to dismiss, easy to manipulate. A man who holds his tongue, who speaks only when necessary, becomes a mystery, and mystery breeds respect. People lean in, wondering what you are thinking, waiting for the moment you choose to speak. And when you do, your words carry weight, because they are rare. This is why I sacrificed unnecessary speech. I wanted my words to be like gold, not gravel, scarce, valued, unforgettable. Do not mistake silence for weakness. It is restraint, it is discipline. It is the refusal to waste your strength on noise. Most men are like drums, loud but hollow. The man of silence is like stone, still unmoving, impossible to shake. He does not reveal himself careless. He does not squander his authority by arguing over trifles. He saves his presence for moments that matter, and when he moves, it is decisive. The world is full of men who talk themselves into trouble. They defend themselves against every criticism, and in doing so, they give power to their critics. They announce their plans too soon, and in doing so, they invite resistance before the foundation is even laid. They over-explain in fear of being misunderstood, and in doing so, they appear weak. I chose to sacrifice that need. Let them criticize, I would not respond. Let them wonder about my plans, I would not reveal them. Let them misunderstand, I would not waste my breath correcting them. And in time, those very things became my strength. Critics lost their power when they saw they could not provoke me. Rivals were disarmed when they realized they did not know my next move. And those who underestimated me were caught off guard when I advanced without warning. To remain silent in the face of insult is a test of true power. The weak lash back, the insecure defend themselves, the proud cannot endure the sting. But the man of silence remains unmoved. He denies his enemy the satisfaction of a reaction, and in that denial, he robs them of their power. I found this again and again. Those who sought to wound me became unsettled when their words fell into silence. They revealed their own weakness, while I revealed nothing. Silence turned their weapon back upon them. Sacrificing words also grants clarity. When you do not rush to speak, you give yourself space to think. You hear what others miss. You notice the tone, the hesitation, the contradictions. You see beneath the surface, and with that clarity, you can act with precision, rather than impulse. Most men speak first and regret later. I trained myself to wait, to listen, to consider. That sacrifice gave me a mind sharp enough to cut through confusion while others drowned in it. The opportunities silence brings are subtle, but they are immense. People trust the one who listens more than the one who speaks. They confide in him, seeking the ear that does not interrupt. They reveal secrets without realizing it, because they feel safe filling the quiet. Rivals underestimate him, believing his silence is ignorance, until it becomes clear he was observing all along. Allies respect him, because his few words are measured and decisive. All of this comes from the simple, difficult sacrifice of withholding speech until it serves a purpose. I urge you to practice this sacrifice. Resist the urge to defend yourself at every turn. Refuse to announce your intentions before they are complete. Hold your tongue when anger burns, when fear presses, when pride demands expression. Do not waste your strength on words that do not build. For every unnecessary word you surrender, you gain leverage. Every silence you endure becomes a step toward hidden power. In time, people will come to wonder about you. They will ask themselves, why does nothing seem to rattle him? Why does he never reveal more than he must? Why do his words strike harder than ours? The answer will be simple. You sacrificed what they could not. You gave up the comfort of constant speech, and in doing so, you discovered the opportunity silence always hides, the chance to command without noise, to influence without effort, to lead without announcing. That is the power of words unspoken. That is the wealth silence yields to the disciplined man. Sacrifice is not a single act. It is not a dramatic gesture made once in a lifetime. It is a discipline, a daily practice, a repeated surrendering of weakness in order to build strength. Most men think greatness is born from moments of inspiration, flashes of brilliance, lucky breaks. They are wrong. Greatness is forged in the routine sacrifices that no one sees, the early mornings, the long hours, the quiet denials of laziness, the refusal to indulge in distraction. Each small act of sacrifice is a brick, and day by day, brick by brick, it builds a fortress around your mind that nothing can penetrate. I sacrificed comfort not once, but every day. I sacrificed indulgence not once, but at every opportunity it tempted me. I sacrificed idleness not once, but every time the desire to delay whispered in my ear. Over time, these repeated sacrifices became habits, and habits became character, and character became destiny. This is the law of discipline. What you choose today, repeated tomorrow, becomes who you are forever. The weak cannot accept this, because they crave variety, excitement, novelty. But the strong learn that power lies in repetition, in the quiet sacrifice made 1,000 times until it carves you into something unbreakable. Think of the body. No man becomes strong from lifting a weight once. He becomes strong by lifting day after day, when it hurts, when it burns, when nothing in him desires to continue. The sacrifice of comfort in that moment builds muscle, invisible to the eye, until one day it is undeniable. The mind is no different. Each time you resist distraction, you train focus. Each time you push through fatigue, you train resilience. Each time you hold your tongue, you train patience. These sacrifices, repeated endlessly, create a mind that cannot be shaken. Most men collapse in the face of crisis, not because the crisis is unbearable, but because they never trained for it. They spent their lives indulging in ease, so when life demanded endurance, they had none. They surrendered to laziness daily, so when discipline was required, it was foreign to them. They sacrificed nothing in ordinary times, so they had nothing to draw upon in extraordinary ones. I chose the opposite. I sacrificed weakness each day so that when the storms came, I was already prepared. My habits carried me when my strength faltered. My discipline carried me when my will was tested, and because of that, I stood while others fell. There were countless mornings when my body begged for rest, when my mind searched for excuses, but I silenced them. I rose and I worked. I told myself that every denial was a deposit, every sacrifice a seed, every act of discipline a preparation for an opportunity not yet visible, and I was right. Time and again, doors opened that others could not walk through because they had not trained themselves to endure the cost. I was able because I had already paid it in the dark, in the silence, in the repetition of sacrifice. This is the truth. Discipline is sacrifice made permanent. It is the decision to no longer negotiate with weakness. It is the refusal to let feelings dictate action. Men who live by feelings live small lives. Today they are motivated, tomorrow they are not, and so they move in circles. But the man who lives by discipline moves in a straight line, forward, unstoppable. His sacrifice is not swayed by moods, not delayed by excuses. It is steady, it is relentless, it is inevitable, and so his results are inevitable as well. Hidden opportunities reveal themselves to the disciplined, because only he can hold steady long enough to see them. The undisciplined quit too soon. They abandon their work in the barren season. They fall apart when progress is slow. They cannot endure the waiting, the repetition, the boredom, and so they never arrive. But the disciplined man, trained by daily sacrifice, keeps moving. He does not depend on excitement. He does not require applause. He simply works, patiently, relentlessly, and in time, he arrives where no one else could. Understand this. Greatness is not built in public, it is built in private. The world will only see the results, not the endless sacrifices that produced them. They will call you fortunate, not knowing the countless comforts you surrender. They will call you gifted, not seeing the years of daily training. They will call you lucky, not understanding the iron discipline that positioned you to seize what they never prepared for. This is why sacrifice must be embraced, not as an occasional test, but as a life. If you wish to be unshakable, you must make sacrifice your companion in every small thing. Rise when you do not want to, work when you would rather rest, save when you are tempted to spend, remain silent when your pride demands to speak. These acts are small, almost invisible, but in their repetition lies your strength. For while the masses live as slaves to impulse, you will live as master of yourself, and the man who masters himself cannot be broken by anything outside of him. So make this your creed, sacrifice daily, train your mind as you would a muscle. Let each denial of weakness be a repetition that builds endurance. Let each choice of discipline over ease harden you against chaos. In time, you will find that you no longer struggle to choose. It has become who you are. Sacrifice is no longer a burden, but a reflex. Discipline, no longer a battle, but a way of life. And when others wonder why you remain steady as they fall, you will know the answer. You sacrificed what they clung to. You trained where they indulged. You built what they neglect. And for that reason, hidden opportunities that flee from the unprepared will run directly into your hands. The final sacrifice is the most difficult, for it strikes at the very core of human pride. It is the sacrifice of recognition, the willingness to let go of applause, to move without announcement, to build without demanding credit. Most men cannot endure this. They crave acknowledgement more than they crave success itself. They would rather be seen as great than silently become great. But I learned that recognition is a shallow prize, and the chase for it blinds a man to opportunity. If you can sacrifice the need to be noticed, you will gain something far greater, the freedom to act without interference, the power to surprise, the advantage of invisibility until the moment your results speak for you. I discovered this truth early. When I began, I did not boast of my plan. I did not shout my ambitions. I worked in silence. Others sought to impress with their words, to announce their intentions, to parade their efforts. They received their applause, and with it, they satisfied themselves too soon. Their hunger was dulled by recognition. Mine remained sharp because I had sacrificed it, and that hunger drove me further than their applause ever could. Recognition is dangerous because it invites resistance. When you reveal your plans too soon, you give others the chance to oppose them. When you show your progress too early, you awaken envy and competition. When you speak more than you act, you forfeit the element of surprise. Silence shields you from all this. By moving quietly, unseen, you advance without obstacle until it is too late for anyone to stop you. The sacrifice of recognition buys you invisibility, and invisibility is a weapon more powerful than any boast. I recall ventures where rivals dismissed me simply because I did not trumpet my intentions. They believed my silence meant weakness, that my quiet meant inactivity. But while they laughed, I built. While they displayed themselves to one another, I advanced, and by the time they realized what had happened, the foundation was laid, the advantage secured, the opportunity claimed. Their noise blinded them, my silence protected me. That is the hidden reward of sacrificing recognition, the chance to finish before others know you have begun. Even when success came, I did not flaunt it. I let results speak. A man who shouts his triumphs invites challengers. A man who remains silent multiplies them. Silence commands a deeper respect than boasting ever will. Men wonder more about what you withhold than what you reveal. They fear what they cannot measure, and so the man who sacrifices recognition becomes larger in their imagination than the loudest braggart ever could. Most men are enslaved by the opinions of others. They measure their progress by applause. They seek validation like a starving man seeks bread. But applause is fleeting, and validation is cheap. If you anchor your worth to them, you will be tossed about endlessly. Sacrifice them instead. Anchor yourself to discipline, to vision, to results. Let others chase the shadows of fame. You chase substance. In time, when the applause fades for them, your work will still stand. The greatest opportunities often appear not to the loudest, but to the quiet. For noise attracts attention, and attention breeds opposition. But silence allows you to move through doors unnoticed. It gives you the chance to prepare, while others remain distracted. By the time they realize the opportunity was there, it belongs to you. All because you sacrificed the pride of being seen in the moment, in order to secure the strength of being unassailable in the end. This final sacrifice requires humility. You must accept being misunderstood, being underestimated, being overlooked. That is the price. But understand this clearly. Underestimation is a gift. It lowers defenses. It blinds rivals. It grants you freedom. Let them believe you are smaller than you are. Let them ignore you. Let them think your silence means nothing. Every moment they do is a moment you gain ground. And when your results arrive, they will not merely see them, they will be stunned by them. Do not despise the shadows. They are where true power grows. Plants do not begin in the sun. They begin hidden in the soil. Empires do not rise with trumpets. They rise brick by brick, unseen, until suddenly they tower above all. So it is with you. Sacrifice the urge to display yourself. Cultivate your vision in silence. Build without spectacle. When the time comes, let your results emerge like mountains rising from the earth. Immovable, undeniable, needing no announcement. I tell you this not as theory, but as truth carved from experience. My greatest moves were made quiet. My greatest victories came not from argument but from patience, not from boasting, but from silence. The world never saw them coming, because I did not show them, and that is why they succeeded. The sacrifice of recognition was my shield, my advantage, my secret. So if you seek the highest level of power, the deepest well of opportunity, learn to give up your hunger for attention. Move in silence, work in silence, succeed in silence, speak only when it serves, reveal only what is necessary, and let your results carry the weight of 10,000 words. Those who need applause will fade with the crowd. Those who sacrifice it will endure, their work echoing long after their voices have fallen silent. This is the final truth. Sacrifice recognition, and you will gain greatness. Sacrifice applause, and you will gain authority. Sacrifice noise, and you will gain power. Let the world wonder, let them question, let them underestimate, for in that silence lies your advantage, and in that advantage lies the hidden opportunities that will make you untouchable.